Hi there, Kate and Fiona Pearman joining you for this week's live where we're digging into confidence and office politics. And I think this is a really interesting one to start to really get beneath the surface of, to talk about how we feel about it, what's going on for us as individuals, but also as organisations.
Yeah, look, the definition here is office politics is all about the subtle ways, the ways we're influencing, networking, the social dynamics. We're bypassing formal channels and procedures in order to achieve an outcome or an objective, either for us individually or perhaps for our team. And we know that there's often a lot of resistance, dislike, almost, I don't want to be involved in this term office politics. And that's borne out, Gallup study says that 42% of employees who experience office politics are actively disengaged from work. So we know it is affecting culture. We know it's affecting how people feel about things. And it is very centered around power and influence. And I think when we can't see or we don't know how things are playing out and it feels hidden, how individuals have got power or got what they want, or perhaps I've missed out, that can feel really difficult and unclear.
Yeah, I think it's got a bad rap and name, and there's no question office politics can be used in a positive way for purpose, and it also can be used in a manipulative way. So I think that's important, or ethical and unethical. So I think that's important um, to position here. But I think it's the secrecy, the lack of transparency. Nothing's written down. No one tells me, um, you know, the unwritten rules. I've got to figure it all out on my own. And often a lot of unseen agendas, what people are not willing to talk about. And so I think the secrecy, the lack of transparency, that leads to this feeling of being excluded, being left out, I don't belong. So when we think about, you know, inclusive cultures, office politics is really something that organizations need to dig into when they think about the role of office politics and inclusion in their organization. We'll talk more about that later on in the series. But I think if we focus on the individual, when we think about the individual, many women, we have heard countless times, so many women saying how, my work should speak for itself. I don't want to engage in that. Lots of judgment, superiority, negative associations, wanting to distance themselves from office politics. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that, but I'll let you talk to that, Fee.
Yeah, I think it makes sense that it feels distasteful. It feels like something I shouldn't have to do. It feels as though, there is something potentially manipulative about it. And so we can understand why people want to step away, why they want to say, well, that's not something I do. I don't want to be involved in that. But even the doing of that is almost an opting out. And there is an element of kind of judgment around that. We're saying that this dynamic, which is actually human, is beneath me. I don't want to engage with that. I shouldn't have to do it. But if that's the reality, then potentially we're going to miss out on some things and we're going to put ourselves in a situation where we're not able to deal with something that's simply a part of life. I think we're often fearful. We're worried that we don't know how it works. We don't know what's going on for other people. We don't know why they're getting their agendas and their initiatives met and achieving success. And it feels murky and difficult to understand. So it makes sense that we want to step away from it, and yet there's a cost to doing that.
Yeah, I think um, here's why, we need to be aware of it and why, from our perspective, we need to be savvy and resource ourselves to navigate through or with office politics. And the reality is, to your point a moment ago, Fees, it's human. It is how groups of humans, including organizations, operate. Um, and without the awareness, with the choice to opt out, then there is a whole level of influence. There is a whole lot of dynamics going on that you are ignoring. And to be quite frank, you know, it means we're spending time, energy, and resources trying to push in one direction when there is resistance coming from alternative directions that will be undermining us. And so it's not, we can choose to opt out, but that's absolutely going to impact how effective and efficient we are in going about achieving what we need to within the organisation.
Yeah, I think there's a big risk of simply denigrating office politics, saying you don't want to be involved, opting out, because you do risk being left out of critical conversations. You risk not understanding how the decision-making process is happening in the organisation, and whether you like it or not, it's simply important to understand what's going on so that you can actually engage. The more that we expand our perspective, the more we're willing to understand what's going on from a system point of view. And very often, office politics is strongly tied into some system dynamics that maybe have been established over a long time. We did a whole piece on system awareness a little while ago, and we'll link to that because it's really important to not necessarily take this incredibly personally. It can feel personal, but often it's some dynamics that are at play. And I think leadership requires all of us to be able to see more broadly, to start to understand that whole system, to know that, yes, there are policies and procedures, there are ways of doing things, and they don't always get followed. They don't always get adhered to. And if they don't, what's the unseen? What's the structures and systems beneath the surface that are actually driving some of those outcomes and decision making? And the more curious we can be about this, the less likely we will be to take it personally, and the more easy it is to start to think about, well, this is the world I'm operating in. How do I get better at navigating through it?
Yeah, nice conversation, I think, to be having in organisations. So, encouraging you to do that. Team, we're going to leave it there. If you've enjoyed today's confidence conversation and you know someone in your network who'd benefit from it, of course, we'd love for you to share that. If you'd like to see more of our confidence conversations, including the series we did on system awareness, head over to our YouTube channel. Over hundreds and hundreds of videos, including our AOC alumni sharing their program journeys and transformations over there on the channel. And while you're there, hit subscribe. You'll be notified when new videos are added. And if and when you're ready to go deeper with your relationship with core confidence, visit our website, coreconfidence.com.au.